This is the city. A city that NASCAR built with nothing but Confederate flags, nooses, and racists wherever you look. Now somebody who says, oh no, it wasn't racist, comes along. And it's my job to talk to him. John Ziegler, senior columnist, Mediaite. John, what'd you find?
That's fantastic, Glenn.
Well, you know. Yeah. When I drink just a little in the morning, it's easier to do the show.
Well, look, I don't want to take too much credit for debunking the Bubba Wallace noose controversy because, generally speaking, the only safer prediction than saying that a media news story will turn out not to be true is betting that Colin Powell is going to endorse the Democratic presidential nominee. I mean, history tells us that this is not much of a risk.
Right.
And what I think is most interesting from a conservative liberal standpoint on this, and I think Stu will probably back me up here, is that conservatives have a huge advantage in evaluating these stories because we've already read the ending of the book. Mm-hmm. See, liberals don't read the end of the book on these stories. We hear about them periodically, and then they go away. But some people, almost always conservatives, decide, well, wait a minute, whatever happened with that one? And invariably, they turn out not to be true. Usually in hysterical contexts. I mean,
yes.
Bananas that are supposed to be racist that turn out just to be bananas. Mm-hmm. LeBron James.
Wait. I've not heard that story. Please tell me the bananas that were racist that turned out just to be bananas.
Oh no, that was one of my favorites. For some reason, this happens in sports all the time. The one I'm referring to was several years ago in a high school football game in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, by the way, hotbed of racism. There were two schools. One was mostly black, the other was not all white. And the mostly black school found some bananas in their locker room and decided that was because they were the road team. They decided that was racist. This created a massive controversy. It was turned out that the bananas were just bananas, but the home team was still admonished because they should have not been that racially insensitive to leave bananas in the road locker room of a team that had a lot of black players.
Yeah, this is a whole genre of stories, John, which is like the lesbian waitress who gets I don't believe in your lifestyle on a receipt. Right. The Islamophobic receipt writer guy who writes some terrible message. The person who writes like Heil Trump on a wall for some reason. It's supposed to be a Trump supporter. We find out later it's just some college activist. I mean, all of these stories turn out the same way over and over, and the media falls for it every time.
Can I just add one more quick one because this is maybe my favorite. Do you remember what happened at the University of Missouri a few years ago? There was all sorts of chaos about racial insensitivity, and one of the stories was that there was a swastika that had been depicted in a bathroom on the campus of the University of Missouri. And when the picture finally came out, it was very clearly poop smeared on a wall by someone who was drunk. That was all that happened. There was no swastika. I mean, it is an illness, and it has gotten into even celebrities. I mean, how many people? I don't even know if you're aware of this, Glenn. This is one of the more amazing stories that have been dropped of all time. LeBron James, biggest sports star, at least in basketball, if not in all of sports, a couple of years ago during the NBA championship, declared that his house in Brentwood, California, O.J. Simpson's former hometown, that it had been defaced with racist graffiti in Brentwood, and bizarrely there was no suspect, no pictures. The horrendous LAPD never got to the bottom of this, and then most bizarrely, after this horrendous investigation by the city of Los Angeles, LeBron James decides to go play where? Los Angeles. So why in the world would he decide to play in a city that just allowed his Brentwood mansion to be defaced with racist graffiti and never get to the bottom of it? How is that possible?
It's the cops. It's the cops, and they're bad everywhere. Where's he gonna go? Where's a man gonna go?
Right.
Oh,
and so when I first heard about this story, I was inherently skeptical, but you guys know me well enough to know I want to find out, okay, what's the story here? I mean, is this possible? I mean, this seems highly improbable that in this atmosphere, incredibly racially charged, that because this is what we're supposed to believe. If you use your frickin' brain, you have to go through, okay, what does this actually mean? If someone put a noose in a black man's garage, have you heard about a pandemic? Have you heard about how restricted things are? Do you understand how few people would have access to a NASCAR garage just before a major race at Talladega? This would be an act of colossal stupidity. This would be effectively like deciding you're going to rob a bank where you know you're going to get caught and you only take $20. I mean, it's insane off the bat. Now, people do insane things all the time. So it is possible if there's some evidence. And so, like a suspect, I mean, this would be incredibly easy to figure out, okay, we think we might have known who did this because there's a very limited number of people who had the opportunity to do so. But instead, without any kind of a suspect, without a theory of how this would have happened or why this would have happened in a logical world, and at the time, without even a photograph, the news media decides, yep, this happened. This happened, and it's got to be racist because, after all, it's NASCAR, and it's Alabama, and we know about those people, right? I mean, so they must be racist. This is clearly very plausible in the world of the liberal media, and especially in the sports media. I mean, ESPN is just the absolute worst on this, and they always fall for this stuff no matter what it is because they have to be woke because they're a bunch of white males who are terrified for their own jobs. That's really what's at the essence of this. White males terrified of being canceled, so they jump on whatever it is because they need to be on the right side of history and show how woke they are, and they're one of the good ones, and please don't take my job. That's what's really motivating this. Now, NASCAR didn't help matters by throwing gasoline on the fire because they were terrified of being canceled too. And then what's happened since, though, I've got to tell you, I still have questions about because I'm more confused today than I was before we eventually realized that the FBI declared this was not a hate crime, that this was just a way of opening and closing a garage door. But this story has evolved in a way that is frankly bizarre since then. So I'm not 100% sure we're ever going to know what really happened, except this was not, shockingly, like almost all these other news stories, this was not a hate crime.
Okay, so I don't know what you're confused about, and I'd like to hear that, but I'm confused on why everyone keeps calling this loop a noose. I mean,
I think you
put your
finger on an important point. A noose means two things to two different groups of people. A noose is an actual knot. Okay, let's be clear about that. It's a legitimate knot. Now it has become It has become seen as a symbol of racial hatred because, and for understandable reasons, because of hangings of black men in history. So I understand that. But when you say the word noose, that's a actual knot. If you go to the Wikipedia page for noose, it's the description of a knot. And yes, what appears to have been in Bubba Wallace's garage was a noose. It was a noose knot that was used to close the garage door. Now, where I'm a little confused is that we now apparently know why in the world NASCAR puts out this picture after the controversy is over, after the FBI has said, nope, this is not a hate crime, after Bubba Wallace has gone. And this is, to me, the part, Glenn and Stu, that really gets me suspicious. All right, I'm not making an allegation right now, but I need an explanation. So why does Bubba Wallace go on Don Lemon, who even Don Lemon was confused, not that that's unusual, but Don Lemon was very confused in the interview on Tuesday night on CNN, where Bubba Wallace is still sticking with the hate crime narrative, right? And it was a bad interview, but people were rallying to his side, of course. The liberal media is always they don't want to look like they were idiots, and they were duped. So there's no negative pressure on Bubba Wallace after that CNN interview, other than maybe from conservatives going, what the hell was that? And then the next day, he puts out a statement, doesn't do an interview, puts out a statement totally changing his story.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm a little embarrassed. Thank goodness this wasn't a hate crime. Thank you so much for the love. Let's move on. What I would like to know is what happened in between. What forced that statement? Because to me, there requires new information to force that statement. You see where I'm going with this? I don't know what the explanation is. I need an explanation, especially when then they put out this photo of this noose, and I still don't understand the timeline. I still don't understand for sure that quote-unquote noose was put there, because the photos don't seem to match where this was in October of 2019. And, a lot of Wallace's supporters and the race baiters have been saying, well, see, this really was a noose. There was only one noose on the entire, in all the 1,600 or whatever it is, garages at Talladega. And I go, okay, that's a hell of a coincidence. That's actually too much of a coincidence, especially when you have Wallace changing his story so dramatically. And I would really like to know what piece of information made him decide, you know what, I'm done with this story.
What do you
Let's
speculate?
move on.
What do you speculate?
Who put the damn noose there? This shouldn't be that difficult to find out at this point. It's the most famous noose in NASCAR history. There's not that many people with access to these areas. I am suggesting it is possible. I am not. I have been in the category of this is not Jesse Smollett too. As you guys know, I was way ahead of the curve on that story. This is not Jesse Smollett. And I'm not saying this is Jesse Smollett. I'm saying it is theoretically possible that Bubba Wallace got some information that maybe, I want to underline, maybe the rope that was sort of a noose last year that appears to have been cut in photographs in June of this year got replaced by somebody on his team. That's what I think is theoretically possible.